Good morning, good afternoon, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles.
And I'm Bob.
Yep, Bob's here too. Thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been a wonderful week and I hope that yours has been a good one as well. Now, depending on which side of the alley you're from, dealing with ding-dongs could either be your biggest fear, you avoid at all costs, or they're just something that you chew up and spit out.
Oh, I like it when you talk dirty.
Facts, Bob, facts. So today, after a request from a marble dweller, the exact words were, "How do you deal with stupid, bloody people?" So I embarked on some research and discussion with random people at bus stops, supermarket lines and associates, people from whom I like to ask random questions.
You really do that, don't you?
Well, most of my life, as I recall, I talk to people. Most I never see again, but I have always enjoyed speaking to people, especially unplanned meetings and sometimes random life-changing conversations. You know, the kind where you've spoken to someone who, without knowing, has just made your day or given you a perspective on something that is looming in your own life. And I like to think of them as angels, people you meet only once, and they help you. I will ask questions. I've always been that forward, and it's usually when I'm in a particular mood, because I have found most people love talking either about themselves or they're just sharing their thoughts, which I find always genuinely very interesting. So I asked, how do you deal with stupid people?
How do you define stupid?
Well, let's get talking. I'm sure it will become clear, but society collectively has fairly clear meanings about stupid people, Bob, or people that fall into that category. A stupid person is defined in the dictionary as a person who doesn't have much intelligence or imagination, and they seem to go through life making decisions that seem to lack all common sense.
Oh, that seems very polite.
I think stupid is a blanket description of a number of attributes. Psychologists revealed 3 different types of stupidity. So a new study has found that there are 3 main categories of foolish behaviour: confident ignorance, lack of control, and absent-mindedness. Experimental psychologist Balázs Axel of the Institute of Psychology at Gervais University in Budapest, Hungary, and his colleagues set out to discover the type of behaviour considered to be stupid. The research team gathered news stories gathered from the BBC and the New York Times that contained examples of stupid behaviour and asked 26 university students to keep notes for 5 days, recording any instances where people acted stupidly. And so a small proportion of those stories were deliberately manipulated to alter the consequences of the stupid events, including the level of responsibility taken by the perpetrator. The stories were then shown to 154 undergraduates in Hungary who were asked to rate the stupidity and how much 30 of the psychological factors, such as overconfidence, could be to blame. A summary of the research stated, studying why and when people call certain actions stupid should be the interest of psychological investigations, not just because it's a frequent everyday behaviour, but also because it is a robust behavioural reflection of the rationalistic expectations to which people adjust their own behaviour and expect others to.
What do you think?
Well, Bob, when I was first asked about this as a subject, it stung a little because A, I've never liked the term calling people stupid, and B, well, sort of the same as A, but not in a public forum to boot, like say on a podcast. So anyway, here we are moving on. People told me that they feel like they are dealing with stupid people on the daily. If it's not a call they have to make to organise a service or make an inquiry when they are out in the world, it's at the post office, it's on the road. So how do we deal with this in a friendly way or in a way that doesn't cost us an organ or sleep? How do we handle it in an effective way, minimising trouble of any kind? Hopefully, there will be something in here that is helpful to deal with them. So, number 1, this may well be the most applicable, given it is up to you and not in the hands of another, stupid or otherwise. And it is lower your expectations. Lower your expectations, but never lower your standards.
Is that ever a good idea?
Well, hold on, Bob. You'll see what I mean. It's a tough suggestion at the face of it, but it is an important one because It may be one of the bigger reasons that you find yourself constantly disappointed, frustrated by the stupidity in the world. One woman I was talking to in a local furniture store said that she said, I have a really stupid friend who misinterprets everything I say all the time. This misinterpretation is followed up by stupid comments and opinions. They form off those misinterpretations. This guy is so stupid and annoying, I honestly feel like ending our friendship over it because it annoys me to no end. So how many people can relate to this in varying degrees? We all make mistakes, doing, saying stupid things, but the real problem is the person who ignores the mistakes they make and never learn anything about their mistakes. Never occurs to them that they might be talking out of their rear end and they are being really offensive and thoughtless.
Ho, 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 this is so on the money.
And another said, what pisses me off the most is stupid people are administrators or people that's above you work or business-wise that's supposed to know certain things about what you're trying to do and they don't, and they get on your case when you have a suggestion that is actually above their thinking and they don't understand it, and then try to mock you when it was proven that you'd done it before and have a reference for that. I can actually think of about 5 people off the top of my head who have just about lost their minds dealing with stupid people who are the lead manager or as stupid as well. Well, look, anyway, as Mark Twain said, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to the level and they'll beat you with experience. It's bloody true.
Ho, ho, ho. That's so true.
Ricky Gervais famously said, remember when you are dead, you do not know you are dead. It is only painful for others. The same applies when you're stupid. I mean, fair's fair. If the stupid people don't have a position of power, then knock yourself out. But the ones that often are ruining people's day, every day at school, at work, in every place you can think of. Another spoke of a friend who is an assistant principal at a primary school and is thick as 2 bricks and is domineering, loving her position of power. Parents have had it with her. If she's not advising them on child raising, has no kids of her own, she's talking in a baby voice to get sympathy. They find her stupid.
Yeah.
I know, right? Oh my God, grown people talking baby voices, especially, being a assistant principal. I'd find that a little bit off-putting. So, number 2, this is the most important one. It isn't you. It isn't you. It isn't your fault. Stupid people are much more prevalent than they used to be. Some is by design, some is due to an easier lifestyle than mankind had before the industrial boom. Oftentimes, it can make you question yourself, as any intelligent person would do at one point or another when faced with this volume of encounters with stupid people.
I don't know, but I found that sort of music to my ears.
It always feels so soothing when someone understands what you feel, Bob.
It's so true.
If someone seems stupid, they probably are. Move on with your life. When possible, it just isn't worth your time. Number 3, your reaction is normal to stupid. It's like getting close to a brain-eating disease. It is normal to be frustrated or even mad. It isn't fair, but it's normal. It isn't fair that the idiot that makes the mistake driving and blames you goes on about their day. They will be completely relaxed for the rest of the evening while you're left frustrated and PO'd with them. It isn't fair that it's other people who have to deal with their stupidity and not themselves. It's simply enough to know that they exist, and on occasion we get confirmation like, wow, I thought you were a mere legend, but there you are in all your splendour. I mean, stupidity.
Stupid people are like glow sticks. I want to snap them and shake the shit out of them until the light comes on.
Is there any way that you could see it from their perspective? No, that'd be a hard no. Go back and listen to the quote from Ricky Gervais. And as George Carlin said, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. He also said, and he said a lot, tell the people that there's an invisible man in the sky who created the entire universe and the vast majority believe you. Tell them the paint is wet and they have to touch it to be sure. I know, right? So true. Anyway, number 4, understand that not all people have had the same advantages, same environment. That is always going to be a fact on this wild planet, and that is obvious on the face of it. I think all we can do is take care of ourselves and put as little energy as possible in stupid's direction. Number 5, know that you probably won't be able to change their minds. But then the question is, do you really want to? No, I didn't think so. The 2 most common elements in the universe are hydrogen and stupidity. That quote from Harlan Ellison. Depending on the circumstances, it will never be appropriate to change anyone's mind about their stupidity. Number 6, keep your emotions in check. Best thing ever for your nervous system, your brain, is to not get pulled into a match with stupido. That's exactly what they want, and depending on the day, the position of the moon, you might not come out of it well. Remember, it's stupid.
Ignorance can be cured, but stupidity is forever.
Thanks for that, Bob.
That's okay.
Number 7, never complain about them to other people. Especially in a work environment, let others toot their horns because that kind of stuff will come back to bite you. One guy I spoke to reflected at a job, everyone used to dislike the receptionist at this job, and she complained to any new ears that would listen as to how she'd been bullied in every position that she'd ever held. She seemed nice enough, in fact. He said, a bit stupid.
Whoop, there's your first warning.
Over time, there was obvious unrest around the workplace, and this receptionist always seemed to have the word on the street because she also worked directly with the bosses. She always seemed to be in the thick of it somehow. In between all of that, always not well or distressed in some way, she was always looking for sympathy. She ended up being the snitch to the bosses and was a real piece of work. She wasn't being bullied. She was the bully. He said that it was a tough pill to swallow because she had all bases covered with her sob stories, her health challenges, got someone retrenched, fired, and all the while she was always the crux of the problem. He said it rattled everybody as it all seemed for nothing really, but all the more reason to not complain about them publicly.
Screen your people at work before you share your sandwiches, I always say.
Good advice, Bob. And as Laurel K. Hamilton said, stupidity isn't punishable by death. If it was, there would be a hell of a population drop. Which is an imperfect segue to number 8. 8, be respectful wherever possible. I think this is always a good one. You don't have to take stupid out to dinner, but the basic manners is always a good thing. It keeps you out of the loop.
It frees your soul.
That's right, Bob. Which is where you want to be, and they will, like the playground, find someone else to hassle. Above all, try. Try not to take it personally. That's key for sure. No one is worth your peace of mind. It is a practice for sure to not let these worms into your brain. And as Jim Butcher said, evil isn't the real threat to the world. Stupid is just as destructive as evil, maybe more so, and it's a hell of a lot more common. What we really need is a crusade against stupid. That might actually make a difference. And a quote from Nelson Mandela, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. And I like this quote as I applied it to dealing with stupid people. No point in drinking the poison of how annoying or thoughtless they are because it won't change a thing except just make you unhappy. Or worse, ill. Remember what Mark Twain said, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. I know it's not funny, but crikey dicks. A man I know who's in the banking world, who organises home loans, bridging loans, over the last few years, he has kept me informed about how much the world of financing and loans has changed, that the questions that they require to be answered in order to be eligible to be considered for a loan, they've got pretty brutal. He tells me that more and more. If it wasn't for the fact that he knows loan assessors, their BDMs, their business development managers, loans would have been denied. But because he knows the business so very well, he has had to go over the head, put the deal in front of their manager, only to find that it is a deal that will go through without any problem whatsoever. Begs the question, how many of us have been incorrectly denied, lost the opportunity of the house, say, that they're so dearly wanted because of someone who clearly does not know the job, and beyond all of that, no one gets back to you, rarely, scant communication, and when there is finally contact, they have no answers because they cannot answer. But wait, they'll get back to you, so please don't. Yes, it is probably a lack of training, etc., probably scraping the bottom of the barrel to fill positions. But why is that now our problem? So Lawrence J. Peter was quoted as saying, if a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what then is an empty desk a sign? The stupid response is,
Because it is. I dread it when I have to make any inquiries with our phone company. I know it's going to be painful because it always is.
I know, Bob, I hear you, and so many people will. You might think that looking stupid in public is reserved for, well, stupid people. The truth is that we've all fallen on our faces, so to speak, in one form or another in our lives, and it's likely that these public acts of stupidity will occur again. I think taking responsibility is the most powerful attribute we can possess in life, and smart people know this, because the reality is that you are ultimately responsible for everything that happens in your life, including your happiness and unhappiness, successes and failures, and for you overcoming your own challenges. People can undermine themselves without realising it. They could say something like this: I'm not sure if this is right, but I think we should. Even before you express your opinion, you've undermined yourself. This undercuts your position and causes people to ignore or neglect your opinion. Negate. Just accidentally stood on my own toe. I'm sitting down. I still managed to actually. Yes, anyway. Say it louder, say it proud to avoid putting yourself in this awkward position. It does take a level of confidence to put forward your opinion without a care whether it is agreed with or not. But the least it will be respected, because you are hard and fast about it, especially when you've experienced it firsthand. It will forever be ridiculous to me when someone puts their 2 bobs worth in about something that they've never experienced. They just imagine how they would deal with it. And don't mind blurting out their unsolicited opinion, especially in the company of another who has firsthand gone through whatever the subject is.
That really does my head in.
Me too, Bob. Many stupid people do not realise how transparent they are. They lack the awareness to realise that they have just inserted their left foot into their mouth, and as if that wasn't enough, they've taken out their left foot and they've just stuck in their right.
Just to make sure.
That's right, Bob. It's like a weird kind of live poetry where you watch the fallout live, filled with disbelief at what you're hearing and seeing. I was looking at some of the movies where stupid people end up being heroes against all odds. You might remember Pierce Preston and Theodore Logan, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure back in 1989. Inspector Clouseau, the Pink Panther movies, that was 1963 to 1978. What a run. Romy White and Michelle Weinberger, Romy and Michelle high school reunion, 1997. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it was, wasn't it? Lieutenant Frank Draben, the Naked Gun movies, 1988 to 1994. Steve and Doug Butabi, A Night at the Roxbury, 1998. Navin Johnson, The Jerk, 1979. We've got Derek Zoolander, 2001. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, Dimwits in Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, what about Stanley Stupid, The Stupids in 1996?
I know there's so many. We could only mention some. We can say certain pockets of society, it is a lack of education, and I don't necessarily mean the school-based education. I mean more what is encouraged at home. They can either set you apart and help you in life or hold you back. Regardless, there are folk who do not want to change or learn, and even worse, the ones that don't even know that they should even consider, that they might actually be wrong in the way that they carry on out there with their unwanted opinions. They're the grand expert because no one's actually said, no, I don't actually think that you're right, or could you just tone it down a bit, or whatever. I've met that kind of person where it's almost like they're insulted if you suggest how to do something or how easy something actually is to do. Quick example, conversation where someone asks you, how did you cook this food? Then you go to tell them and they start saying, yeah, and nodding way too much, talking over you, making it crystal clear that they don't want to know, that they have every excuse in the book why they will never, and be quite proud of the fact they're never going to give it a go anyway, but they don't want to know what you did to, create the recipe, for example. It comes across so rude, and hold on, wait a minute, you just asked me, how I did that, when, as I started to explain, obviously it was just too complex, I don't know. But now you're trying to shut me down, as I very generously tell you. Learn from those situations, marble dwellers. These sorts don't mind taking from you and then insult you in the same breath. The thing is, it is obvious, and they aren't smart enough to realise that not everyone is as thick as they are, because remember, stupid people think they are a law unto themselves, but they're not, and not smart enough to know that they're cutting off your interest in ever being in their company very much, if not again. Another thing that stupid people do is put down all their friends, criticise all of their actions, disapprove of what they do. Now, we can all fall into that while we may be genuinely concerned, but when you sort of have a little bit of awareness, you realise that you may be judging too harshly or of not, or just regularly having a go, at your so-called friends. The point is, and be sure of this, if they are criticising their so-called friends, who are their sisters from another mister, and they are constantly criticising them, be very sure that they are doing exactly the same to you behind your back.
Oh, that's no good. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, me either. If you notice that you have to engage in certain negative conversations under the umbrella of caring regularly, then it might be time to have a good look at how far are you prepared to go to keep this kind of relationship, friendship, whatever it is going. No one is going to grow in this environment, and if you have a brain, then it's going to get boring real fast. You begin to notice that you only talk about the weather and how you slept. Runs kind of dry. No one is really taking a genuine interest in each other's lives, or one isn't interested. It always starts with one. And if we are honest with ourselves, we've known for a while. It may be that you're sacrificing too much to keep the friendship going. Us humans seem to like carts that have a wheel missing, but we just sort of keep going anyway. One more quote before I lock the gate.
Do you mean we're going?
Yes, Bob, but one more quote from Napoleon Bonaparte. He said, in politics, stupidity is not a handicap, and it still stands. He died in 1821, and looky, it's still profoundly correct. Anyway, I'm so glad you joined us today. Say good day to the family for me, give the butterfly a wink, and we'll see you next time, okay? Okay then, bye.
Bye.